Good afternoon, my people.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Good afternoon, dog.
Good afternoon,
Uh,
Doc.
Today, there, if I get her, I will sleep. Oh. Mm. Who would like to teach today? I'll give the person 300 Ghana cedis. Hey, Obi Angare.
This one, girl, it's difficult too because you don't want the material. You didn't prepare before time. So, and let you now do it for us.
100. Oh. Just teach here. uh, okay. So, definitely today we are going to finish the traditional form of lecturing, which is the 6 and 7. Then next week, I think we have 2 more weeks because next week is then the following week, which is the face to face, right? Yeah, so I'll use next week and the remaining one to go through the exams and at the same time your project. Okay, so today we are finishing everything. We are finishing everything, and just as I said, I'm going to focus on the most important stuff. I just move through, then we focus on the most important stuff. So that will be that. And please forgive me when you see me yawning. It's like that. I'm just coming from another class, so yeah. Uh, let me see. So we are starting with Unit 6 today. Then the Unit 6 is basically about policy and regulations. And we have talked briefly, we've talked briefly about it in Unit 1. We just touched on it. But today we are going into details. But the point is that we are not going to go into details as with respect to the definition of policy. No, we are not doing that. But we are focusing on the key and important and most relevant topic as far as the policy issues are concerned when it comes to energy access. And even so, we are more looking at the macro kind of analysis that people do. And for now, when you check the literature, when it comes to energy access, what is it as far as policy are concerned? Are you getting it? You are hearing of climate change and even hearing of energy transitions. And sometimes you think about it, then you are saying, where does the policy lies? And sometimes I know people who are doing, there's a whole center for energy policy. Okay, so we are going to look at that thing. We are not looking at in terms of the definition, regulation, and no, that is not important for us. The discussion is more on a macro level, and practically we are looking at the concepts relating to energy access, basically development, policy, and regulations. All those linked together, the relationship that really exists because we need to put down some strategies to make sure that this energy access becomes a reality. But as you are doing and putting down the strategies, you realize that you are not alone. There are certain things you need to also consider. So, what are the main policy goals that every country has to face as far as energy access is concerned? Take into consideration uh, uh, climate change, energy access, and also development issues because we need to place them in that framework. If not, the policy will not be relevant. Yeah, so that is what we are going to discuss today. And we just hit on it. The ones which you will need some kind of briefing, I'll move through, let you understand it, and I'll even express the level of importance on it. But the ones which I think you can read on your own, of course, we can make up the flesh fine. You can just read on your own anytime then, so that we can just be out of here and we prepare for next week. And I told you that next week you are going to have a quiz and it will be online. Okay. It will be online. I will prepare the quiz, then I'll post it. I will hide it on the LMS. Then during this time, I will open it so that you do it during this time. So take today and everything, go through for chapter 1, and it's going to be objectives, please. No face, no, sorry, not objectives alone. No, sorry, it's going to be objective. Let me put it that way. I want to make it simple. So it's going to be 30 objectives. Okay, 30 objectives, questions that multiple choice, of course, and sometimes maybe feeling there, something like that, maybe a feeling, but predominantly multiple choice questions. So that will be next week, this same time. So you do it for 30 minutes. Then I'll move through your project with you. Then the following week, if God permits, we'll meet face to face. Then we'll talk about your exams, what you have to expect, and how. Because by that time, I would have finished combining everything together, and I will know the kind of questions you are supposed to answer. And so that will be that for that. But for today, let's our minds be back here. I know that some of you have gone to church, you are back, you are feeling like sleeping. Some of you have also not eaten, those who are fasting. I know there are pastors among you, so uh, you need to take care of some spiritual issues too. But for now, just give me 2 hours of your time. Hopefully, I mean, at most 2 hours of your time. Let's finish this thing. Then we all rest for the day so that I can go to work tomorrow. God permit. Yeah. And before I move on, is Evans online? Evans.
Hello, dog.
So you sent me that for your the list for your group, which is it you are January cohort or what? Which
June,
cohort?
June, June.
June. So the January cohort, I was expecting that you said somebody is the leader, but I've forgotten the name.
Grace.
Grace. So is Grace online? Because Grace maintain who know, maintain and kakra. It seems that you are the only person I know. Grace.
But we have some of the generic on the online, so maybe
Yeah, I know,
Charles.
sir, but so whom do I deal with now? Because it seems that she's not responsive. I don't know. Uh, maybe I said that she sent me. She has not sent it, and besides, I hardly hear from her in that sense. So if I don't know if you tell her so that she will contact me, then we take it from there, or possibly somebody can take off so that I can deal with the person. So because I didn't know that it's January and different cohort like June and I didn't know. So I was treating you guys the same and, until I got to know that different code because make sure that I enter.
So I'll let her reach out to the list.
Okay, so please let her reach out so that I'll get them.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's move on to what is. So we are dealing with policy and regulation issues as far as energy access is concerned. But I told you we are not going to deal with it as the micro level where we are going to talk about what policy strategy. No, yeah, we are not. It's not that important to us. But now we are thinking about the higher level. And Brown, David, yeah, David Tree is not online. Mm, okay, so we uh, what was I saying? Okay. So we are looking at the macro level as far as the policies are concerned now. Now there is a very interesting dilemma that most developing and developed countries face as far as energy access is concerned. The thing is that you can't deal with energy access, especially, I mean, in this case, it's policy alone, without thinking about other kind of policies that you have to take in place. I mean, to consider. Because it seems that when you're dealing with energy access, because of the various technologies that are involved, we just have to also deal with other concepts like climate change. And when you're also dealing with climate change, you also have to deal with the developmental issues because energy is also needed when it comes to a development of every country. So how does this, I mean, how do I put it? How does the issue of climate change, energy access, and development or energy, development issues come together to make a sense or to to motivate countries to develop a policy? And I think that is where we are trying to look at. Now, what do you need to know that there is a very huge relationship and a very, not a huge, for lack of words, let me say, a very predominant one, a pronounced one, of course, between climate change, energy access, and development. Okay, and and the relationship is not a subtle one. It's very, very clear to the extent that you cannot have energy access for all, a reliable one, of course, without thinking about development. And once you are thinking about development of the people or making sure that you are using energy to develop your country, you can't think about the environment too. That one has to also be put in place. Okay. So the trade-offs is very, as when you check literature, 3 energy policy goals. Okay. It's energy access. Then I will explain that one. So that one, you develop a strategy to make sure that there's affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy to all your citizens. Wants to make sure that every part of the country has access to energy, but not just access, just as we took into consideration the multi-tier framework, where we have different tiers. So you can have access, but not just any access, but making sure that you have affordable, reliable, and sustainable one. And for, of course, a tier 5, goal. So you realize that has been one of the main goals, energy access. And when you say energy access in the policy framework, we are talking about making sure that all your citizens have reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy. That is one energy policy goal. And please, this one, listen and listen carefully. Because question we they are maintain almost every year there's a way and a way, there's a way I bring it. So please listen to it and listen carefully. So there are 3 policy goals: energy access, and I've explained what the energy access is. Is that it's a policy, or you design a policy in such a way that you make sure that there's affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy to all your citizens, or for all your citizens. So we realize that for Ghana, I think I told you 2021 it was 86.5%. 2023, which was the last, like it was, I said the latest one is 89.3. That is 2023. I don't know for 2025, 2026. I think it may be as time goes on, I think every 4 years they do something about it all. So let's see. Yeah, but the current one is 89.5, and there's a projection that within even 2026 it will be 90%. So it means that almost all of us, and in rural areas is 90 something, 97% or so. When you consider it, that's what the data says. But even that one, I don't agree. And so they have the rural areas, urban areas, peri-urban areas, and the discussion goes on that. But in the verifiable one, as far as the data is concerned, that the 2023, which is the current one that I will know, is 89.3%. 2021, it was 86.5%. So we almost 86.5% of our population have access. So we made sure that it's just left with 10% of the places in Ghana here where we don't have access to what energy or they don't have access to energy. As to whether it is a tier 0 or tier 1, that one, the report doesn't say. But they are confident of the fact that and the most important thing you need to know about that one too is that it's one of the highest in the African region. One of the highest in the African region. In West Africa, I think it's even the highest. So which means that we are doing well, we've done well in that sense. And the report also says that by 2020, by 2030, that's what the government has set for itself. By 2020, there should be 100%. And they are doing this either through the grid system or distributed energy systems. So that is something that you need to know. So, but the policy goal is that, and this one is not just for Ghana alone. Every country wants to make sure that, or develops a strategy or a policy to make sure that the citizens, all of them, have affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy. That is that for one policy. Yeah. So when you check the graph, it shows you a trend analysis since 2008, 2008. It was just 60.5%. It moved to 61, 64.2, 64.1. Then it started moving. Then we are now 86.3 in 2021. And this one was done, I think, 3 years ago. So when you update it, we have about 89.3, almost 90% of energy access for Ghana, which is one of the largest in the world. Okay. So that is number one policy goal. So a country set up a policy that it wants to make sure that every person in the country have access to, in every corner, every place in the country, access to reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy. That is one policy goal. The second policy goal or objective of every country is to not just make the citizen have access to energy, but also develop the policy in such a way that they can use the energy as a productive means. In other words, to make sure that it grows the economy. So they use or they place energy in such a way that it becomes a driving force for economic development. So when they are increasing energy access, they are making it a very sustainable one, which can power the industries, do a lot of stuff. People can work with it. So it's not just putting the lights on, but we are putting the lights on in such a way that people can work with it and develop, form businesses with it, and what make sure that they transform the economy. So that can be a policy, and it's possible for you to develop a policy which is just energy access, but that is not tied into what economic growth. So lies in a war, but in me financially, the lies in such a way that you can even power the industry. You get it. So that is another thing. The literature also says that yes, you can develop energy access, which is a policy goal. But another goal, which is also very important, is to develop or use that energy that you have developed to what? As a driving, or to make it as a driving force for economic development. So he said that the availability of consistent and affordable energy is crucial for industrial expansion, job creation, and improved productivity. For nations striving with improve their economies, expanding energy supply is often prioritized. Then, so that is how it is. So you set up the energy, but you're not just setting up, but you are placing it in such a way that it's quite tied to economic growth. It's going to drive industrial expansion, create jobs, and also what? Improve productivity. So that is another policy goal. The third policy goal is that now you are not just also putting up the energy and just driving economic, but you are also thinking about the environment. That this energy that you are also producing or generating does not cause any deleterious effect to the environment, because there are technologies you use to produce the energy which can have a lot of effect or harmful effect on the environment. If you care to know, China sometimes ago in Beijing, you can't move there without a nose mask. Way before COVID-19 came, they were using nose mask because the atmosphere was full of what? How do I even call it? Fog. Like in what you soon, a lot of pollution and all those kind of things were going because they use coal. Most of the industry were using coal to power their production. Are you getting it? So it came to a point that, and the thing is not just China alone. When you check the history of US, most of them to the industrial era, you check that of India, you check that of Japan, especially all the developed countries, they started with the fossil fuels to power their industries. So they were not just using energy to just have access, they were using it to expand, which is economic growth, to grow the economy. But one thing is that they were also doing that while they were growing the economy, it was also polluting the environment. So the discussion also came in literature that yes, there can be a goal or there can be a policy that you put in place that yes, I want to develop and I want to make my citizens have access to energy. I want to use this same energy to develop, but I also have a motivation, or I also have a goal that makes sure that this energy that I'm producing and also using to drive development does not affect the environment in a harmful way, or does not cause does not bring any harmful effect onto the people that you want to provide energy for. Are you getting it? So these are the policy goals. Every country, it will never miss. You check it has been categorized into 3. And I've written a paper on that one. It's part of my analysis on one paper that I wrote, Renewable Energy Development in Ghana, Observations, something. I forgot in 2019. That's the paper that I wrote on that. And then it's there. So if you can have agree about it. So, but that is the argument that there are 3 policy goals. Now, having said that, these 3 policy goals also bring us to what we call the navigating or the trade-offs. And when it comes to that, we realize that there is a trend and there's a dynamic to this, that most countries have a way of dealing with it. So the point here is that with these 3 energy goals or policy goals, it is nearly impossible, and that is the word, if not impossible, nearly impossible or difficult for a country to simultaneously, the word is simultaneous, is a very, let me put it, what do you call it? Oh, I want to say something, but I'm forgetting now. A keyword. If you don't bring it, it becomes a problem. So it is nearly impossible or even difficult for a country to simultaneously achieve a universal energy access, rapid economic growth, and environmental protection without making a trade-off. So the point is that it's very difficult to achieve all these 3 at a time. That you want to first make sure that you have energy access, make sure that almost everybody all the citizens have energy access or have access to energy, then you are using that same energy to develop. At the same time, you want to make sure that this energy does not harm the environment. It's hardly possible. It's not. To do it, you can do it in phases. Honestly, I've never seen any country that have put that one off, and I don't think it's possible. So what they do is that they normally trade off certain things. They choose what is needed and later, choose another or whatever being the case. So countries often prioritize based on their unique developmental stage. Countries often prioritize please a moment, let me just check. Okay. Based on what? Their unique environmental developmental stage or short-term versus long-term objective. You look at what is needed, then you develop the policy in that light. Because it's not possible to have or put all these policy goals into place and achieve it. You can't. And you can't do that. And not that you can't do that, it's not possible to simultaneously do that. And what countries do is that they prioritize based on the unique developmental stage and short-term of growth. So that we have developing nations, and we have developed nations. So you realize that most of the developing nations like Ghana and other African countries, now that we are developing, been said that for countries seeking what rapid economic advancement, the focus often leans towards what energy access and economic growth. So they will normally choose one and two. That normally you see that their policy is more leaning towards what affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all its citizens. And at the same time, they position the energy in such a way that it is causing the what advancement in what technology, expansion in industrial activities, job creation, and all those kind of things. So that has been that. And you realize that they normally trade off what environmental protection. Most of you check the data. So Ghana will even tell you that yes, they have Renewable Energy Act, they have renewable energy this, they have this, they want to transition. This is but you check, you go in and you check the energy mix. You realize that they are adding more to the fossil fuels generation, the thermal plants, than what the renewables. Why is it that we are not putting solar systems everywhere? Why? Why is that we are not shifting to non-hydro rather, as advanced countries are shifting? That now we are reducing gas. We are thinking about gas. We are not even thinking about constructing dams and those. No, we are thinking about how to even use gas to power, because now that's what they're doing. Now people are even thinking about nuclear. Nuclear is another thing altogether, which we discussed. But the point is that it's the environmental protection is normally, suppressed when it comes to developing countries. They normally choose the first and the second. That is energy access and development. Okay, and they trade off what I've not seen any country that is developing, then hardly they will say this and this and that. But indeed, there was uh, there was uh, there was a conference, I think in one of the I think Kenya, and that conference was basically about 10 years ago, long time, because that I was still in school. I was still doing my PhD. I was in China then. Then that conference, the report came out that they were talking about energy transition, shifting to renewable and sustainable energy. But at that conference, all that they were talking about was towards fossil fuels. So even though, yes, people talk about it with lips, we talk, there's a policy they cannot renewable. It seems that it's a political talk and danger. So that is something that people, countries looked at. So you need to look at the dynamics in that sense when it comes to developing countries. Then we have developed countries. So countries with well-established protection and infrastructure and near universal energy access tend to shift their focus towards environmental protection. For them, they have already, you go to America, it's very difficult to say that you find a place that they don't have energy. It's very difficult. I can tell, I don't have the facts, but I can tell that almost every place in the US has access to energy. It might not be the great connected, but when it comes to even distributed, they are far advanced. They have. How do they stay in what doom so? They don't. For them, they don't talk about some of these things. Are you getting it? So for them, energy access, they have already achieved it. So it's not so much of a goal for them. No, so their policies are not really energy access, energy access. They are gone, they are far advanced. Okay. Now there is up with the two. Economic development. They want to some of them have even developed. Now they are in the initial stage. As a omapim, they are now stabilizing it. They don't want to drop. Okay. And for them, no, but what they are now focusing on much is to protect the environment. In other words, any energy they add to their system, they make sure that that energy is placed squarely in such a way that it doesn't harm the environment. So you realize that for them, environmental protection is one of the greatest goals that they do. That is why all this energy, climate change, and yet, if you want to ever. Omo na ekeka saa nneɛma no na nka yɛyɛ deɛ ha. So that is the discussion, and that is that. And please, ebeba. So upon it will come. How you find a way of, especially when the question is there, how you find your way of explaining it, with this, Yeah, and I hope that if you don't understand anything, let me clarify it first before I move on. Okay. So that is that for the energy policy goals, what it means, the various policies and what they mean, and then navigating the trade-off that means, and the dynamics of this as far as developing and developed nations are concerned. You need to know there's a must for this session. Okay. And this one you can read through. Energy access is a driver, and of course that's what I've already explained. That energy access is about more than just providing electricity. Okay, it lays the foundation for economic and social advancement, communities, reliable energy, blah blah. So these are basically self-explanatory things. But for me, what I want you guys to know is what I've explained: the 6.1 from here, the 6.11, 6.12, yeah, 6.1 and that, but I please is very, very important. But the rest are quite self-explanatory, which you can move through. So the 6.2, we are talking about influential policies determining local energy access. What are some of the national energy policies that are very, influential? Some of policies that you know in Ghana, outside, whatever. So energy policies are broad guidelines or principles set by government organizations to achieve specific objectives related to energy. National energy policies have significant impact on local energy access and determine which energy solutions are available and feasible for communities. Some influential policies that shape local energy choices and their implications for distributed renewable energy are as follows: subsidies and what? Financial incentives. These are quite straightforward. That if you want to even promote certain, it got to a point in time, Ghana here, and I don't know if still it's possible. They do, as in whether they allow us to pay everything when it comes to our electricity and even our fuel for our cars. And it got to a time the government was subsidizing the prices, or subsidizing so that we don't bear the full cost as far as the price is concerned. So it has become one of the influential hot policies when you want people to have access to energy. Is an influential one. Financial incentives. And I was telling somebody, I think one of my colleagues, that if governor want to move to a distributed energy system, certain policies have to be. One of them is the subsidy for even solar systems to be put in place. It has to be a place where even when I'm bringing down solar panels or whatever, they have to subsidize, or there must be an import or a financial incentive to make sure that it becomes easier. But if not, this impact will never come. This impact will never come. So yes, subsidies and financial investment are some of the influential, one of the influential, policies that help in there. So, for instance, in 2021, Kenya government reinstated a VAT exemption on solar and wind energy. That one I can confirm. I was in Kenya 2023, and these things we discussed about it. So they reinstated the VAT exemptions on solar and wind energy equipment, including solar panels and batteries. When you're bringing them down, in Rwanda now, yes, in Rwanda was 2024. We went to Rwanda, and I can tell you, if I started seeing EVs, electric vehicle. People, normal people, were driving electric vehicle for it. The car that took us to the airport, from the hotel to the airport, was an electric vehicle, EV. And I learned that there was some subsidy or whatever. In Ghana here, I learned that if you are bringing EV as an individual, you pay the full cost. But if you are bringing as a business, they will do something about it. Or somebody was telling me. Okay, so I don't know. But the point is that subsidies and financial incentive help. In Ethiopia, which I went there 2025, it is full. If you can't import fossil fuel cars, they've banned the importation of fossil fuel cars. It is full EV now. The fossil fuel cars in there are the old ones before the ban or the policy came into being. Now, and they've given some incentives for people who want to establish businesses to repair and all those kinds. So it's like you can't take that thing away. Subsidies and financial incentives are some of the main policies that are very, very influential and can impact. Hey, and there's someone eh? I've not been calling anybody, and you people, you are also not talking. Anthony. Anthony, Adamajo. Anthony is not listening. What's your kitchen? Kofi Prince.
Oh,
Kofi, thank you. You are paying attention. Anthony, the audio.
I have to be a coach, so I'm just listening for today.
But are you okay as to this point that we've got into?
Yes, dog.
I hear. Oh, okay. Uh, Charles. Hey, Charles, the minipo, maybe I'm a friend. Charles Apia. Ebenezer Forsen.
Yes, Doc. Please, I'm here. I'm listening. I think I'm enjoying.
You are okay.
Yes, please, I am.
I hear. Priscilla Bidiakon.
Yes, sir. Please, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Omo ha oh. I say mo. I say one interview.
I'm managing.
You are managing. You. Yeah. Never na metro exams no na metro. So that's just by. So let's move. So we also have feed-in tariffs, the FITs. They are also very, influential things. So the feed-in tariff guarantee renewable energy producers a payment for energy that energy they feed into the national grid. Okay, this policy incentives the installation of renewable energy system. So very simple. Just move through. So, example, Egypt is an African country that use feed-in tariffs to encourage private investment in renewable energy projects, which has led to a surge in solar and wind installation. Okay, the impact is that feed-in tariffs attract private investment. Thereby expanding the overall energy supply. So these are basically straightforward. So you just know what the feed-in tariffs are, and yeah. Then we have imports and what taxation policies. So these are also very influential. So with this one, so import duties on renewable energy can either facilitate or hinder energy access. High import duties make the DRE technologies more expensive. That's what I was saying. If you know that, that might be a reason why many people are not even into it, because if you are importing solar panels and other batteries and all those things, you have to pay duties and those things. So, Charlie, it becomes very expensive. How about they make or they exempt, that kind of stuff? They put some policies that which exempt. You realize Ghana for you just people go and bring it and they will sell it, and then you see that it reduces the cost of having a distributed energy system. So, example, in Nigeria, high import tax on solar panels have made renewable energy solution very costly, limiting the adoption by lower incomes or by low income households. Okay. Moreover, South Africa imposed 10% import tariff on solar panels to support local manufacturing. So in these two countries, you realize that in Nigeria, there's nothing like waiver. They still take and even it's very high. So you realize that those low income household, they don't go there. And I think that's what is happening in Ghana. I don't know for Ghana the duty on solar and other renewable energies, but I don't think there's even exemption on that. So Charlie, who are you to even think about installing a solar system? Yeah, you can't. But in South Africa, because they wanted to, South Africa, for you said the open media and I some star view. Let me come back to you here this quick because I want you guys to talk. Prince Majid. Hello, my prince.
Hello, Doc.
Prince, have you heard about South Africa? Oh, Prince. Okay, Joseph.
Uh,
Joe, have you heard about what? Can you brief out what is happening in South Africa now?
so I just want to ask an input. I just want to add an
Okay, you
input
can
to what you've discussed previous.
you can add. So
Yeah. So in terms, hello, please can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
So
you.
in terms of the environmental protection, yeah, in terms of the environmental protection, I just want to ask, considering
Your network, it seems that
we are,
I'm having hitches.
where we are moving forward. What is the Ghana position in terms of importing old use and all of that? So we are okay. Let me connect. I'm
Oh,
issue with my
oh,
laptop. So let me
uh,
connect the phone. I'll get back.
okay. Yes. Let me continue. Okay. So regulations for DRE projects. So the energy regulations are specific rules, standards, or is somebody talking?
Hello, Doc. Hello.
Or the strategies that have been set are
Hello.
implemented. Yeah,
Yeah. Am I loud now?
you are loud and now I can hear you.
Okay. So I think my PC was having some issue with the network, so I've connected with my phone.
Okay.
So I was asking the position of Ghana's position on the protecting the environment. So I was asking that what is the policy that is protecting the environment? Because we have EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, as a government institution that's supposed to, bring regulation and policies that will protect our environment. But it seems like nothing is happening because day in, day out, people are importing old used cars, fridges, and then microwaves into the country. And then I want just to know your position about how Ghana is moving forward in terms of environmental protection.
Yeah. So now you need to understand the environmental protection in the context of the energy access we are talking about, right? If I can get you clearly, it got to a point now I was not hearing, but if I get you clearly, you want to understand what Ghana position and current state. What I can tell you as far as energy access is concerned is the fact that yes, we have the policies, we have renewable energy. We actually want to transition to we want the energy mix to be like 20% of non-renewables by 2030 or so. And so all the rights chances are there. But the point is that the implementation is the difficult thing. And it seems that the the political will or the will to make sure that all these things that we have established, is not there. Because I can tell you for a fact, and even the paper that I wrote on 2029, that we are adding more to fossil fuels because of the oil that we have. We get gas. Now we are building the gas plant to help in our energy sector. Are you getting it? So you realize that we are adding more to the fossil fuels than the non-renewable. So that is the but for other side of the protection of the environment, that one there I don't know the states and I can't tell. And just the normal ones everybody know, yeah, because day in and day out. But I know for energy issues in terms of fridges and say now you can't bring in second hand. That one I know. But as to how they are enforcing it at the ports, that one I can't tell. That one I can't really tell unless somebody has a different thing about it. But yes, environmental protection is there. It does a lot more than the energy issues. It includes even water bodies and those things that we have. But as far as energy is concerned, and the energy assessors, of course, is concerned, we already have the policies established that want to increase and want to transition. But the point is that it's not as easy as the papers, the policies say, because I can tell you for a fact that the implementation has been very difficult to the extent that anytime you have doing so, and then we tend to add more to the thermal generation, which is basically powered by fossil fuels, the gas and those things. Why not solar and those kind of issues? So the will has been very slow. The transition has been some way, all because of the natural resources that we have and the fact that it's easier to add to the fossil fuels than that. So I don't know if I answer your question, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I get you right, the EPA environmental protection, their job is different from the one you are talking about, the energy sector. I mean,
So it's not different. For EPL, it's broad. Like they deal with everything concerning the environment. Even when you are building a hostel, noise and those, you need to get their permission. When you are building a water plant, whatever, you need to get anything concerning the environment. EPL has to come in. But with regards to the energy issues and energy access, you realize that there's a specific issue that I can talk about in terms of energy, which regards to the fact that we have the policy goals, Renewable Energy Act, and the fact that we want to even increase our energy, hydro energy access, and we also want to transition. But we have not been enforcing that thing. How do I put it? It's not encouraging. Yeah, that is the word. It's not encouraging. Because if a country wants to transition and builds its renewable energy sector, at least the solar systems must be improved because we have enough potential. The light, I mean, the sun and everything is on, but it is not, Charlie, uh, and not encouraging at all. We are rather adding more to our energy mix. Yeah. But when it comes to the whole environment issues, the protection and what they are doing, that one there I can't talk more about because that is not even the area I'm looking at. This one is basically looking at our energy access and the fact that every country has a duty to protect its environment, to make sure that the energy they are producing does not cause or does not bring any deleterious effect to the environment. And that is what we are talking about. So don't mix it with the entire objective of the Environmental Protection Agency. That is broad. For us, we are talking about energy policy goal. And the policy goal of the energy in terms of protection is that we are trying to bring energy or we are generating energy which will not bring any harm to the environment. That is the energy policy goal or protection we are talking about.
all right. Okay.
Yeah, so don't mix it with the broad EPL, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. And omo ye no bebree, omo de ene de doors. So who could to in yeah, you have to get their permission. Who see who's teller, you have to get their permission. Oh yeah, we have to get their permission. So for them, it cuts across. But for us, what we are talking about is that every country bear or what as I see so there are three policy goals are two in place as far as they are generating energy. They will make sure say one energy no more generating no ebeko baby na be affordable amu ubia as a one. Number two, they will make sure say energy no so more generating no or more develop strategies are it will make or they are not just generating the energy but the energy is positioned in such a way that it will cause people to get jobs. It will also make people to expand their industries. It will create a lot of things so that the country can grow. And we have not just that one, we have a third one where the country will also make sure say energy no more generating and cause harm to the environment. In other words, they develop the energy to protect it. That's what we call the environmental protection goal of energy. So it's not environmental protection as in the bigger picture EPA is involving. It is the environmental protection in the context of making sure that this energy we are generating does not cause harm to the environment. As in China some times back, now they wanted to expand into the energy. They were using coal to generate energy. Until it got to a point, Udru Beijing, na baby you soon. Pollution so much. And now they've stopped from, so now they are protecting what the environment by not using what coal to what generate. I hope I'm clear on this one.
Yeah.
So that into question the trade-off and the memaka to 6.1 memaka. A quite a first one shifting and I'm here right now, but the idea you have to get it. And then they understand it now.
Okay, thank you.
So regulations are there, so you read, and it's not that important, but read through. A regulatory strategy for DI sector, a PPA, read through strategy, tariff setting, regulations. So just read through. They're important. Just read through because they're self-explanatory. So the conclusion is that UNICEF, we have examined the role of policy and regulation in shaping energy access, highlighting the delicate balance between development, climate, and what regulatory environment. Effective policy can enable energy access while fostering sustainable energy, whereas blah 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 blah. So Unit 7 is environmental stewardship, where we will explore renewable energy and sustainable practices, how they contribute to protecting the natural resources, further emphasizing the importance of responsible approach to energy development. Okay, so that is what we move. That is Unit 7. So Unit 7, we are taking it further. That how are we going to make sure that we protect the environment as far as energy is concerned and as far as other practices are concerned. So we are moving to environmental protection, taking into consideration that energy and other practices too. So that is for Unit 7. Now, so there's a question here. So discuss the inherent trade-offs between the three energy policy goals, energy access, economic growth, and environmental protection. Analyze how developing and developed countries navigate these trade-offs, providing real-world examples to illustrate your decision making. Conclude with recommendation on how a balanced approach could improve in policy formulation to support sustainable development and climate goals. Note, your response should address challenges and prioritizing one goal over the others, the implication of these choices, and practical strategies for conflict among three objectives. So this is a way you can also read through and again. Yeah. Sure. He who have ears, let the person hear. So that is that for Unit 7. Let's take 10 minutes break, then we'll come back and finish off the thing in the next 30 minutes. I'm not saying come back in the next 30 minutes. So I'm saying that we will use the next 30 minutes to finish off. The duration is 30 minutes to finish off the Unit 7, but take 10 minutes break. So we are coming back. Okay, 11 minutes. We are coming back 3:35. So that by 4, just something, then we close. Okay.
Ghanaians are using to brag like our president, their president did, their president did that. You guys should calm down. So spend a TikTok match with somebody,
Okay, welcome back. Let's do it. So environmental stewardship and the topic itself, the wording and everything is also speak forth to what we uh, want to talk about. And again, there are some parts which are very important, which I will dwell on and explain because it's needed. And that part too is just self-explanatory. You can then just read through. Which, again. So with this part, we are trying, as I said, we've talked about the policy and basically we looked at the various policies. But one of them was standing out, that's environmental protection policy goal, where we are trying as much as possible, or the energy that we are trying to, generate does not, or we don't generate energy which will cause a deleterious effect to the environment. In other words, we are protecting the environment in a sense that we are not bringing out any energy. The way you can generate energy does not what uh, compromise the environment. So that is a thing. We are building upon that and expanding what the discussion to look at the environmental issues altogether. Yeah. How can we take care of the environment in that sense? And that is very, very important, not just from the energy access issues, because we're also looking at the sustainable access or the sustainable goals that we have. Now, the first 7.1 is the environmental protection assessment that for mini grids, in other words, for any energy that you want to produce. If it's a mini grid, it's not by the grid. It can even affect the grid, but in this case, we are talking about distributed energy. So if you are trying to come up with a project, what are the things that do? One of the things is what the environmental protection assessment that you need to do. So the EIA, in other words, environmental protection assessment, is a structured process used to evaluate the potential environmental and social impact of the energy project before its implementation. So before you set up any energy project, you need to make sure that you do an assessment that highlights how they be done in a way that does not affect the environment in a bad way. So that is what and the environmental project has a lot of components. We have the screening, we need to screen. That is what determine if the mini grid or the energy project requires a full EIA base size, location, and potential. So, example, a smaller mini grid may need a limited assessment. A hybrid system may require a full assessment. So, the thing is that you need to determine the mini grid project. Is it a small one or a big one? Or you need to also determine the scoping. All these things are not that quite important, but let me just rush through. So, we need to what we call the scoping. The scoping component is about identifying the critical environment issues to be studied. For instance, the land use and changes, the biodiversity. You need to all do all this. This is part of the environmental assessment. You don't just go and build the energy project anyhow. Well, I have light, internal the light I. No, there must be screening, there must be scoping. And the scoping means you identify the environmental issues that needs to be studied. That is it. So example is that you focus on areas include emission, habitat disruption, noise pollution. There's, for instance, it's not everywhere that you can put a wind turbine. The wind turbine make noise a lot, especially the old one, not the new one. They make noise a lot. Okay, so you can't just say I'm going to build a wind turbine and not in front of the BC. So all these are part of what we call it the scoping. You need to also know that this mini project that I'm going, the habitat. I know that there are some places you can't construct a dam because that particular river or dam itself is a god. So you can't just go there and construct the dam or construct what the place. So you need to do what we call scoping. I know some of you here are into it. It's not just energy alone, it even encompasses other sectors. Are you getting it? So that is that. There is what impact assessment. You need to stay what would be the impact of the project. So you evaluate the potential effects of the project, including positive, negative, all those kind of things. Yeah. What would be the mitigation plan after assessing if it is what positive one, fine, but it's the negative one, how are you going to mitigate it? The another component is public participation, engaging the local to ensure their concerns and needs are interrupted. There's a reason why before they do community engagement or community entry, even with the one which is touching energy alone, the Accra Kumasi Expressway that they are doing, they need to go to the local people, discuss with them. Last time I saw the engineers and then they were moving, they went to the nanonum of the area to make sure and tell them it is public participation, it's part of the job. So you don't just go about, you want to build an energy project, you want to build a solar system here and there, it's not your home. That so that is something. Then it's the monitoring and evaluation. So these are the various uh, energy framework that you need to do. Of course, probably you have to know it maybe for multiple choice questions there, but yeah, it's self-explanatory. So why EIA is relevant for mini grids, balancing development sustainability, regulatory compliance, yes, because sometimes you have to do it. If you don't do it, you have not complied, which brings a problem. It also enhance what project viability. You know, I want to say whether the project itself. If you don't do it, oh yeah, I do baby in a car, it becomes a problem. So that is that. So there's a practical example. In Uganda, an AIA was conducted for a solar hybrid mini serving a rural fishing community. The assessment identified potential disruption to aquatic habitats. Okay. The mitigation plan included relocation of the energy storage facility further inland and designing the drainage system to prevent contamination of the water bodies. So there's a practical example that happened in Uganda. Okay, so they're trying to build a solar hybrid. They realized that baby a bit disrupted the fishes in that community. I think wherever they want to do, there was a river there or whatever. So they need to construct a drainage system and make sure they don't destroy the habitat of these fishes and those things. So that is environmental protection. It is, and what is done, or what the various components in it, and a practical example to that. So the benefits, opportunities, and risks of renewable energy technology in sustainable development. Just this one is not that, but just move through. Yeah. And we have opportunities in the RE sector. This one too. When you read through, it's very simple, straightforward. The risk, straightforward. Now, this one also a little bit important, but not so. But yeah, so 7.3, so renewable energy product life cycle, focus on carbon emissions and waste. So we are looking at the life cycle of the renewable energy products. Okay, but the focus is on carbon emission and waste. So the product life cycle of renewable energy technologies involves all stages of the product life, from raw material extraction to disposable or recycling. Each stage has implications for carbon emissions and waste generation. Understanding the life cycle is crucial for assessing environmental impact and all those things. So we have been talking about solar and all those things. It's very important that when you know the life cycle, you understand, because they also have a life cycle. It's not that when you buy solar, it's after about 100 years, 20, they have a lifespan. So what do you do with it, especially when it comes to the emission and even the waste? Into 20 years, 20 years, 30 years, your solar panels are not able. What do you do with it? Do you recycle? Your battery is not the, what do you do with the battery? Do you throw it away? What really? So these are issues that so when you know the life cycle, it helps. So the life cycle is that there's a raw material extraction. So material like silicon for solar panels, uses silicon, lithium for batteries, rare earth, they have to extract it. So it goes through a process. Yeah. So that's the raw material extraction stage. So most of the things are handling in there. Then afterwards, they bring the raw materials within that. So then they manufacture the various components. They manufacture what the solar panels in terms of if it is a battery, they manufacture it and all those things. And then afterwards, they transport it and install. Okay, and after the installation, they operate. When it comes to end of life, then it gets to a point, maybe 20 years. How do they manage it? We call it the end of life management. So disposable and recycling of what renewable energy component can generate waste and environmental risk if not properly managed. So there was an article 20, I was about 2 years for me to finish my PhD, 2016, no, 2017 there. 2017 getting to 2018, there was an article that was given to us for us to discuss. Then they realized that the solar panels that they threw away after the 20 years of its lifespan, some of them, they threw it away. It was rather also releasing harmful chemicals into the environment. So there was a huge debate by the IPCC stating that what we call clean energy is not even clean, to the extent that people don't even manage the end part of the solar so well, especially the panels, to the extent that it also releases harmful chemicals into the environment. So that is the life cycle. Then, yeah. So you got to know, not that important. Yeah. But 7.4 is very, very important. Very, 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 very important. So I'll take time to. Yes, Jennifer.
Hello, Doc.
Yes,
I
Jennifer.
have a question. With the Environmental Protection Agency, I want to find out that in the course of providing energy, let's say a company comes into the country and then introduces something like the solar. Let's say it's a new thing coming in, and then they decide to go out there and then import. Does the Environmental Protection Agency, study the life cycle of this solar panels and other stuffs that will be used before they allow them to come into the country, or they just allow them to just import them?
No, please let me clarify this so that you don't get confused about this environmental protection that I was talking about. The Environmental Protection Agency is a broad, it's an agency who gives broad, the issue is broad. Okay. They do with anything as far as the environment is concerned. Are you getting it? Now, when it comes to energy access, the protection here is that, and for that matter, the energy policy goals that almost every country do is that they put up a strategy to make the energy that they are providing does not, and that one is a policy, and that particular policy is enforcement. It's not just Environmental Protection Agency; they might not even come in here. Okay, they might not even come in here. Now, to your question that you are asking, whether it's not their job to be checking if somebody wants to set up no, if you want to set up a business that what do you call it, deals with solar and everything, you have to register just like a normal business. Okay, if it is a profit-making business, you send it to the GRE, those then, and you have to go to the Energy Commission. So with Energy Commission, you tell them this and this and that, and you are basically not also providing it as because there are some companies it's not for profit. So all those business issues are now when it comes to bringing in, because you don't manufacture the solar panels here. When it comes to bringing in the panels, that one is import issue, and that one basically it is the customs excise and those preventives. Those people will handle it, and they will link up with what the energy efficiency systems. They need this, they need that, they need that. Then it will determine which panels you can bring in and all those things. So that one is handled by what the customs. Now, when it comes to the life cycle of it, maybe at the end of it, if you want to dispose it of, that one is an individual thing. And that one, I don't know any policy around it. So that is so we shouldn't confuse ourselves with Environmental Protection Agency here as what they know is energy. The thing is that anything that concerns the environment and protecting it, yes, of course, they are into it. But what we are talking about here first, I mean, is with regards to or relates to what policy goals. That a country can set a policy goal is an option. They can set a policy goal from now onwards, 2020 to 2030. Every energy that we are going to generate, it won't come from any generation which will have effect on our environment. And for that matter, let's focus on only maybe renewable energies, non-hydro. It's a policy goal. And when you say that, when you do that kind of policy, you are protecting the environment, or it's an environmental protection policy option. So please don't confuse it. Now, when we are asking about what the Environmental Protection Agency does, that one is broad. Even when it comes, they regulate hostels, noise making. I didn't even know that it comes to hostel because they do the regulation. That when you have to go to the EPA. From the EPA, you have to go to what? Even your local assembly. Then you go to fire service. From service, so there are lots. So it's interlinked as to who have to do what and who have to do what. So that protection in terms of whether they have to make sure that the solar panels, those bringing the solar panels, that one is not their job. It is the job of the custom exercise who link with the Ministry of Energy to know the kind of energy products or appliances to bring in. So at the customs, they check. This one is, yeah, you can bring it to the country. You can bring this one to the country. You can bring it to the country. Yes, they check that one. That one is not the Energy Protection Agency. Now that it is in, when they do the installation and everything for you, now 20 years have passed. How do they load off or how do they dispose the panels? That one, I can't tell who is responsible, because that way it becomes an individual end use. And whether the company has to take it off, and that one, it becomes a waste management issue. So maybe that way, if it is unit committee or the what do you call it, the assembly or whatever, I can't tell. But I need to make sure for you I need to establish that you don't get confused with the environmental protection, what they do. And because what we are talking about is not environmental protection agency issue. We are talking about an environmental protection as a policy option that a government can go in and say, from now onwards, it's our policy that every energy that we generate will come from what? Maybe renewable energy. And the idea is that we are trying to protect the environment so that we don't use coal. Ghana here, we don't use coal to what? Produce energy. We don't use coal. We use gas and we use fuel, that's in crude oil and those things. Are you getting it? So the fact that we are not even using coal to produce is a way of protecting what the environment. It's an environmental protection option or policy option. Please, am I clear with that one?
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc. Thank you very much.
So please don't confuse yourself with that one. When it comes to environmental protection, the more you're there, probably we need to go in and read and see, because it was later on I realized that they do a lot of stuff, even certain things that we so that even when you are going to be the hostel, you need to get their permission. They have to come and test the place that you are building it to make sure say the soil is good for residential. And no, maybe I just got to know. So they do a lot of stuff to make sure. Just the Ghana Hana as the implementation here, then anyhow we just build, we put it in. So their mandate goes beyond. It is more than the energy crunch and big of an issue for them. So when it comes to the protection in India, as to the solar, what comes in there, that's what I've already said. Is the custom issues and the custom for they already have the information as to what has to come into the country. That's why it goes through a process. We intimate. Now, have you realized that we don't bring in the fluorescent bulbs? Bulbs na yellow na and I think that you've also noticed that I think last 2 weeks or last 3 weeks, and I want people to confirm that they went to China more. There are certain LED bulbs that they can't bring into the country, but they were selling it here. So they took it away.
Yes, it's true.
Yes. And so that is custom for any environmental custom to be our juma and but what we are discussing here, policy option. Yeah, that is that. Oh yeah, say a drone chewa and I say inche say yes, if the law has not caught you on certain things, who say, oh, that law be kura. I was so shocked that Charlie, there are a lot of stuff that even certain things you need to go and see certain areas. You have to go and see the EPA for them to certify that yes, you can build here. And Sankran are for them, but nobody does that now, and they don't even. We are not maybe. So that is that for now. Any other clarity anybody needs, please clarity be up you because it's very, very, very important. And as I said earlier on, next week we'll talk about exams and also no, next week is for your project. So I'll finish today. The next week we talk about your exams and your projects. I mean, for the remaining 2 weeks now, I can two sessions now. I can. That's what we will do for that. So let's go to what you call the circular economy options in the off-grid sector. And the circular economy is very, very important. Please, what do we mean by even circular economy? And what are some of the circular economy practices? These are the things that you need to know for 7.4. So when you say circular economy, what is it? And please just listen and answer the question. Now we have a traditional, please a moment, our lights are off and I think I need to bring my standing fan here. Okay. Okay. So let's move. So when we say circular economy, so let me explain from the other side of it. So we have a traditional linear economy, especially here. A traditional linear economy is in a situation we produce, we consume, then it go to waste. Are you getting it? We produce, we consume, then when the thing lifespan ends, the lifetime ends, then we throw it away, waste. We allow it to what go to waste. Then the circular economy principle or concept is that we produce, we consume, but instead of going linear to waste, we find a way of bringing it to production so that we can consume again in another form or the same form or whichever form. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Doc.
Okay.
I
So
know,
you
Doc.
realize that, yeah.
Please, Doc,
Who's
take
in
it
the-
again.
I say the circular economy. So I'm explaining the traditional linear economy first. So with the traditional linear economy, we produce, we consume, and we dispose of, like it goes to waste. But for circular economy, we produce, we consume, but instead of going to waste, we try to find or bring it back into production so that we can consume again in another form or what? The same form.
Oh, okay.
So
Doc.
it's going round. Now, Saba and waste. Waste that linear economy produce, consume, waste, straight, linear. Circular, eco, now but a drew end. But now start finding it way back to what? Production. To consumption again. So you realize that sometimes some of the things that we recycle into pure water, for instance, they produce the pure water. I mean, the sachet, whether bottle or whatever, we drink the water. So the bottle, no, instead of throwing it away, people will collect the bottles and the sachet, whatever. Then they will use it to produce the same thing or another what? Then people use the rubber and to produce plastic chairs. You do know that there was one guy who came to one of our, I think last year, 2025, we did a dialogue with the China African policy, and they came there. The guy uses plastic, sachet water, rubber, no, any plastic, or the year desk, school desk, like table and those things. I don't know if you guys have seen the DMB Murphy. It's a company in Ghana here. They use the plastics and then to manufacture school desk. Somebody has raised it. Let me
Yes,
check.
bro. That company now will be used for roofing sheets and stuff. The same company.
Yes, yeah, the same company. They use for roofing sheet.
Yes, please.
I
Yes.
see. And the guy is making money. And last time he was trying to talk with the Chinese ambassador, Ton Ding Fan, the one who is gone. We had so we were discussing, and he came around and he was having a discussion. I think he was trying to look for investment outside. But Charlie, people, the point is that they are using it. So instead of going to waste what to rob an acronym, then they bring it back into what? The system. It's secular. Oh, are they a circle? We call it secular economy. So anytime you hear of secular economy, that's the meaning. That is the meaning. Okay. So here I said that secular economy is a system designed to eliminate waste and make most resources by promoting reuse, recycling, and the sustainable life cycle of a product. Unlike the traditional linear economy where products are made, used, and disposed of, the circular economy focuses on keeping the materials in use for as long as possible, thus minimizing the environmental harm. Are you getting it? So that is the concept. And that is the concept. And you have to know. Somebody when I ask the circular economy, you have to divide and know. And not there. Until this chapter without knowing it. Okay, so that is the circular economy principle. Okay, so but with the circular economy, we have a lot, and most of the things that we know, either reuse or recycle. The example that I gave you is a recycle. So it's either reuse or recycle. Into Ghana, pa say a circular economy, yeah, dear pa, yeah, in time to bottles on and tonkune. Yeah, bottles are two a year, we are winning be any aqua near the boo boo and one yama. Yesterday, yes, yesterday I wanted to do somebody talking. So that can we cite cylinder circulation model being done by Ghana Gas? Yeah, I don't know what they do with it. Me name your model yet, so that I could have placed it under one of the circular economy idea. But yeah, possibly. Possibly. I don't know what they do with the cylinder after bringing it to after collecting it because I know say oh pay you bit me change no. Na minim the omode koye afterwards whether it goes back to production. If it goes back to production, then it's a circular economic concept that they are using. Yeah. But maybe when you begin to discuss, but as I was saying, the reuse is something that we do well, and the circular economy is not just in energy. Yes, we have the energy part of it, but I'm discussing this one in the broader sense. And the example I'm giving is to that effect. And I wanted to prepare some contour still being here, so I went to buy the contour then I bought oil. And I thought that oil, no, okay, those days normally good rubber, but this time they put it in the vener, awake. You know the bottled water that we've drank, they don't throw it away. They wash it and they put the oil in it, the palm oil. And then I'm trying to have some circular economy. The first thing that came into my first circular economy. So in a way, and there was a video that I watched on YouTube. No, not YouTube. I think Facebook. It was a long time ago. I think 2 years ago. Then there was this lady who is married to I think a white guy. Then she said, "I'm married to a Ghanaian." I said, "My wife is a Ghanaian." Of course, we don't throw away. I don't know if we have heard those kind of videos before. My wife is a Ghanaian. Of course, we don't throw away bottles away. And in that video, I saw that the woman or the so gugu or more some bottles be. So the husband thought that it was I've forgotten the thing. I've forgotten, but that was and it was very funny. Yeah, so Ghanaians are very, very good when it comes to reuse. Say a better adrena kune party, yeah, the oil begum. And now say the subulu begum. And now say the bibi fufuru begum. So this one I'll ask the ladies. As will be me and I'll ask them. Why do I be done? Let me see. Let me call. Priscilla. Priscilla Bediakon. Last time I called you, you didn't respond. I'm calling you again. Priscilla.
Yeah, I'm here.
So Priscilla, what type of reuse have you used and I will use super
And yet the bottle water.
Now the DNA room.
With the juice kumuma in Koran.
Oh, the
Juice like pineapple or orange juice. Yeah.
Oh, the president. More the oil or here secular economy no. So better I can then be share or no we are not pay be or say reused. So that is the reuse. Let's go to another person. Thank you, Priscilla. Hey, man, more him. Meet him more Esther.
Doc,
Yes, meet you. It's also there, partner. Oh, Priscilla say reuse. Or the juice boom man granical school. And also there.
with the plastic bottles.
Any of them.
Tell me them, matching me na me na matching me board and na me buy you. Meet me so no good. They are chocolate corner baby. Send me here na makopa.
Somebody has said to me, said, this is my Prince. Prince my genius. You can look into your chat or not, then can't see any good. You can look in your chat or then can't see any good. Yeah, so that. So that is a circular economy principle. Thank you, Esther. Thank you very much for this. So that is a circular economy principle. Ah, amount for so with the abundance of waste, Bola, in major cities like Accra and Kumasi, does Ghana have a plan to convert waste into energy? Yes, yes, there's a plan, but I don't think say there's only one place I mean, but more energy no produce. I saw one particular in Kumasi. I've forgotten the name. Yeah. Waste, no, they turn it into something. I've forgotten the. So yes.
Doc,
Uh,
Doc, even
yeah, Prince.
in the northeast,
Mm.
government builds a waste processing plant.
Mm-hmm.
Just the politics in Tiomoiwi and Amojasi Hosa.
Emergency. But we can do it. Hey, Singapore, you can research. Singapore is one of the best countries when it comes to the circular economy, like especially their waste. Sure. They have an island that they turn it into electricity. Sure. Oh, now friend waste in the I mean, yes, if you know, no more turning it back into what they have a way of doing it. A very big plan, Singapore. Yeah, so that is that. So what are some of them you already know, but some of them to be will just go over again. So we have the circular economy practices. Yes, the practices, but basically we are looking at the solar sector, so that it becomes simple for you. But sometimes you realize that it's not just the solar sector. You can even apply it to the other sectors. For instance, reuse or refurbishment. Okay, so there's something called a reuse or refurbishment. The turn solid fissile waste into charcoal. James, can you enlighten us? Solid fissile, charcoal. Mhm. So let me
You
ask.
mean fika with like
Ah, sorry, I didn't read it well. Continue, I'm listening.
so basically I visited, this is not Prince by the way, this is Matthew.
Matthew.
But
Okay.
I'm just giving a little bit on Prince's
Okay,
post.
you
So
can add. Yeah.
basically we visit things this Zoom Lion, one of their
Zoom.
plants at the Kolebu, around Kolebu Enclave. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this waste that they collect, the fecal waste, now basically that's the fecal matter, toilet and co. After it
Toilet.
undergoes the processes, they
Mm-hmm.
will take it, they extract all the water, and then the
Mm-hmm.
chaff that remains, they solidify it, and then I think they take it through incomplete combustion, and so it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't burn off to the ash level or
Mm-hmm.
the powdery waste, but it will turn into charcoal, right?
Ah,
Meaning the
I
combustion
see.
hasn't completed. So they sell it.
Uh,
Then it's like coal. It burns more, it burns for a longer period, let's say,
longer time.
compared to normal charcoal. So
Normal
it's
charcoal.
very solid. Then just a little could light or give you a very powerful light, and you can use it for a lot of things. Yeah, so that's what I know. But maybe Prince has maybe other.
Doc,
Prince.
I
Yeah, Prince.
also saw a video of Bill Gates. He was trying to
Use
use the
toilet
same fecal as he says, and then they
into water.
extract it. No, just the toilet.
The
Toilet.
toilet. Okay.
They take it, they process it, and they're able to pull the water out of it.
The water out of it, yeah.
And they're able to process that water into drinkable one.
I see.
Yes.
Serious engineering there.
Yes.
That's it. So when it comes to engineering, that one I have no idea. But the point is that a lot of people, Kumasi, I know there's a plant there. They take some of for them. It was not even the toilet and the feces and those, but there was this rubber, whatever. They separate it. They do that. They're doing a serious there. So that is a circular economy principle. And Ghana, Hana, and Shada, and you know, maybe too good on. You know what the Chinese people are doing with it. I realized that the husk of a coconut, the things these guys were doing with the husk of coconut, and I was watching it, and I was wow. So let me ask. So the feces that we release in our various homes in Ghana here, where does it go to? Where do they go to? Like in Accra? Omo betwe a omo de kɔ he?
I want to go Gupumu.
Hey, how?
And the point that when you go to Kolebu, you see most of the toilet cars. You can connect that pipe towards the sea and dump it inside there.
Really?
So it makes the tuna big.
Yeah, Doc, it's true. I've seen a video of it where they were discharging it into the sea.
Because I've thought about it. I don't know for Kumasi too. Kumasi mini, and even those Sunyani, where do they send it to? Because in Singapore, you can go and check. You can Google, find in Singapore how they recycle their waste. Energy. And yet, any good rough. Now, go to a fish. Well, that's just by the way. So there are several practices that we have. We have the reuse and refurbishment. So they are basically what it was refurbishing used or more function solar panels and batteries to extend the lifespan, to reduce waste and lower costs. And so it involves refurbishing. So that is that. So normally they do it to establish or to extend the lifespan. So instead of they throwing the whole solar away, they start putting back new ones, and they do that. So in Kenya, solar panels refurbishment programs allow previously used batteries from mini grids to power. And I was the last somebody was showing me a video where even in India, the car batteries after the car on the battery, then they pour the water away, those liquid stuff away, and they change certain things in it, and they make it a new one. So Ghana had a battery, but they have a way of refurbishing and reusing it back. Okay. So that is an example of that. Then we have recycling. Recycling the so it involves recovering valuable materials such as silicon, aluminium, lithium, and note that this specific note is talking about the solar part, but you can use the big, the general knowledge to what, you can apply the general knowledge here. So that is that. Yeah. So that's recycling. So recycling reduces the dependence of raw materials extraction, conserving resources and what minimizing harm. Then we have redesign for modularity. So this one might not be very clear to you, but it's also part of the practice in the circular economy. So they design the modular solar system in such a way that it can easily be repaired, upgraded, or disassembled allowing for longer product lifespan. Yeah. For instance, let's move from Ukraine, then let's look at phones. Once an iPhone, you can't use any other charger. Essential as and they say, you can hardly open it. Minimum there for it. So you can have, in that sense, in that context, the secular economy is advocating or advocates for a system or advocating for a system where the product comes out, it's easier to repair in case it gets spoiled. It's also easier to upgrade. Okay. And I know this for this particular laptop, Dell SPS, Dell Espero, the XPS. I had one when I was doing my PhD. In that particular Dell, it has 2 slots that you can increase. One slot can increase the RAM. Okay. You can also increase so they've designed it in such a way that if you want to increase the RAM, you don't have to go and buy a new laptop. You just open it, change the RAM, or you can expand it by buying another one which has a higher thing. So my own was 8 gig. I realized that I could add another 8 gig to it to make 16 RAM so that it becomes very powerful, very fast, and those things. But for some laptop, they've designed it in such a way that RAM, the 8 gig, 8 gig. You can open it into a faster one. You have to dispose this one off and go and buy a new one. But the circular economy, especially the redesign and for modularity, it talks about the fact that it's a practice where, especially when it comes to manufacturing companies, can we manufacture or bring out a product where it becomes easier to repair? There are some products who be so our same. Who be so our same. Who to our same. But the circular economy, this practice talks about why don't you bring out a product where it becomes easier to repair, easier to even upgrade, and easier to even disassemble, so that we can increase the lifespan of it. So you don't have to. So example is the companies can produce modular solar kits that can enable users to replace individual components like the panels or batteries as their new needs grow, rather than discarding the entire system. And I hope this one you understand. It's very, very simple. It's just that we have not looked at that part, but it's one of the practice of the solar, one of the practice of a circular economy issues, and it's being done part. And even now, some of the solar systems, the panels, you can fold it. Now they are manufacturing solar panels. It's easier to detach the wires which connects to the inverters near. It's easier. You can even send it. You can fold it and send it anywhere. That if you want to use a solar panel, you don't have to get the traditional ones. Go. Or roof, no. Now who took one and I see a transfer. Now I then they are just we done who to two and I then. But now they are bringing out a system where you can fold it and send it anywhere you want to. Yeah, so that is what the redesign for modularity talks about. Okay. Then we have shared economy models. So the shared economy model, that one is very simple. So it involves implementing shared ownership system, such as cooperatives to maximize the use of a solar equipment. And for this one, is instead of one person owning it, the communities can own it so that they can share. You get it? So that so that is a principle. And the shared economy principle was outside the solar, the DRE sector. No? There was one example, I think, I think England, or they were trying to see this kind of practice in the transportation sector. So you got to a point in most of the civil servants and government, and even including parliamentarians, they were using bus. They don't send their own cars. I don't know whether that system is still there. I think it was one of the European countries. They were testing it. So that is the shared economy principle in that. So these are the four. So normally I'll ask of what the solar economy principle or the the circular economy means. Then you mention the various practices under the recycle, the reuse, then you have to understand what they all involves. Okay. So the benefits of solar practices, that one you can read through. If you know the thing, you know those practices, you can read through. The challenges too are there. You can also read that one through. And so that is that for Unit 7. And there are some assessment questions. What is the primary objective of circular economy? A, maximize this, blah, blah, blah. 2, which stage of the renewable energy product life cycle this? Have you seen? So these are all questions you can go through. They are very important. Okay. And there's an essay question. Explain the role of the circular economy in promoting sustainability in off-grid solar system. Discuss the specific practices such as reuse, blah, 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 blah. So these are for your thing. Any question? So far I'm done with the traditional lecturing. We are done with the Unit 1 to Unit 7. We are done. Any question? Okay. So if there's no question, we'll meet next week. Next week. So we have next week and the following week, which will be what, face to face, right?
Yes, Doc.
Okay.
Yes, Doc.
So as I've said, what we are going to do is that now we are going to focus on your project and your exams. I'll go through the areas and those things. And no na money je ho. Nti mo amu nyina me sure say mo nyina mo beba ntem so. So almost rest exams areas. I'll talk about the areas, but the most important thing for me to show you your project. The project in who here me chain or exams na wo kire no. Because the project is like 50 marks. Okay, the exams no yeah me convert. The exams no kra. Yes. So you do not quiz online next week. I'll put it on and I'll tell you to go and do it. And then the bit my we'll talk about it next week. Yeah. But whatever finish, me convert it be by 50 marks. Then your project, and we are going to collect data about appliances. So I'll move you through and as I met them next week. Then we continue with it the following week, so that everybody will be clear as to what you have to do. What's that material then? So that one will also constitute 50 marks. All right. Are we clear? Can I close now? Can I close?
Hello, sir. Yes, Doc. Doc.
Yes, you can. Yes,
Hello, Doc.
Yeah, I'm listening.
With the project, is it individual assignment or is going to be
Please,
in a group?
individual. Anything, very simple. I'll give you a template. You are going to collect data over cost shop, be a bank or Melcom, whichever place. Then you take note and normal motor, especially appliances that uses the energy. Now you just take note to record. That is that. We are
Okay.
present. So so it's not a big. I just want to because the point is that we are saying energy access, energy access, energy access. The point that we consume, we don't chew energy. We don't have access to energy by itself. It's through appliance. So what you say? So we are we say why not replace the exams?
Okay.
Abraham, why not replace the exams with projects so there won't be any exams? Hey, Abraham.
That would be bad. It won't be bad, Doc.
Okay, I think I also
It's
side with
also
you.
a very
Yes,
good suggestion.
so let me tell you this. Let me explain this. According to GTech, as far as this course and other graduate courses concerned, we need to do exams because sana a way accreditation documents in them. A coming quantity anka we could any some much exams. So what I say because more so that is why our exams no. I am managing 100% or 60%. Hey, for all you know, even I can convert the exams to 40%, it has to be done. Manya,
We're not
like,
a Doc.
yeah, and no, yeah, as a man can say, when something you are fulfilling scripture, you have to fulfill what is needed of you. Me and they every MSc course, as far as a 3 credits, it has to have exams. So they call something auditing. Into famo go and bring my course way, go and bring your scripts, the math scripts, normal go through sample. So it's not that Charlie. Anyway, we are supposed to do the right thing. So that is why software Abraham, there must be exams. Why?
Okay.
Why?
So Doc, with the project, when we get it next week, when are we supposed to submit?
So remember mobile 1 month or 2 months, but it has to be submitted. I think 2 weeks before I submit you. Said about me recorded more papers, no. Until I don't know many you back but remember more time until I made them on time, no.
Okay.
More time it's about 1 month or so, at least 1 month.
Okay.
But I need to check the time I'm supposed to submit you guys your more scripts because my markers, you know. And before me upload the common system, no, so no, I'm a more resource, no. I need to get that thing and add it. So, so it won't be any maybe a 2 days. No. It's like at least 1 month. So I'll give it to you next week. So you have the following week until so better watch exams you could I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks time be I don't know which. Yeah. So I'll tell the course rep. That's why I wanted to speak with the other lady, the other cohort, said about me who information on that me who system, how to upload all those things. So it's not pressure, no pressure. I think 1 month or yeah, bros, 1.5. I'm fine, 1 month, 15 days. But I need it before. Yes, any other clarity. But Charlie, we can win next week as Simon. Nanka mo bisa questions ni na. Because see how they say, come de me ma bre. One is no. Come de ma bre to man phone mu.
All right, then you're done. Bye bye. Yeah, yeah, bye bye.
Don't compare be shame. Compare be shame.
Yeah, next week we meet, we discuss that one. Then the following week, near twice with the exams, we discuss. Then we see. I think by then everything will be clear. Everything, but no pressure. More, and yeah, it be a big deal. Be a right. Okay, so see you guys next week.
Thank you, Doc.
By God's grace. Yeah, Charlie. Bye bye. So Evans, please let the other lady contact me. Why? Not me. Why?
Okay, Doc. I'll do that.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.